Hi, my name is Tara and I am in Group I. For this discussion, we were asked to talk about our cultural background and one specific occasion in our past where our cultural background has made a difference, and if our cultural background makes a difference in our everyday life. My cultural background is I was born in Eastern Washington, in a small city, smaller than Spokane and Portland and Seattle, but bigger than most rural farming cities would be. I grew up in a not so typical family. I grew up with my grandparents, my mom, my brother, and my Down syndrome aunt. This, like I said, is not a typical family. Most of my entire life I've spent with this small group. We're very, very tight. We're a close-knit family. We always know where the other's going, what the other's doing, how the others are feeling. And this comes from having to take care of each other. This is part of my culture. Family is one of the most important things to me, as I said already. Not only because, well, it's family, but because of who is in my family. Living with my grandparents has given me the opportunity to learn, or to grow up in the old traditions, the more modern new traditions, and then the newest traditions that have become through my life. From growing up with my grandparents, I've learned about their history and what they used to do when they were younger, and some of the traditions that we still use in our family, like our Christmas dinners and our Easter dinners that we usually do. Those come from my grandparents' past, and then all the birthday celebrations come from my mom's traditions when she was growing up. And then all of our traditions that we've adapted to fit my family has come about through these 3 generations living in one house. This helped to grow and shape my life. Growing up, I had my Down syndrome aunt, Sarah, who I pretty much had to take care of, even though she is twice my age. She's pretty much like my little sister, even though she's my aunt. This causes a lot of growing up maturity really fast in my family. And due to that, most of my family matures really early, and this is part of our culture. We're all more mature, more up to speed on new things. We're always asking each other how we're feeling, what we're doing, what needs to be done, and getting things done, because if they didn't, then she would get sick and things would go wrong. This is how our family works, is everybody takes care of everybody in order to prevent other issues. So as a result, my family never really fought, which produced a very loving yet very sarcastic home. A very foundation, I guess you could say. It's a solid foundation. From my family outwards, I grew up in the same town I was born in. I've never lived outside the Tri-Cities until I moved here to Eugene to go to school 3 years ago. So if I'm 21 now, minus 3 years ago, I have lived my entire life, from the day I was born until I was 18, in the Tri-Cities, which is my hometown in Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington is its own cultural world. We have many, many, many different ethnical cultures all combined into one. When I was growing up, which was a lot of fun, there was so many different ethnical cultures that we were literally celebrating something new almost every day in all of my educational classes, all through my educational career. There was a bunch of Bosnian kids who I used to ride the bus with. There was a bunch. All my neighbors are Latino. There was more African Americans in my class than there was anything else. What was really interesting is that I, myself, as a Caucasian female, was a minority. My brother, who is a Caucasian male, was a minority in all of our educational career. It wasn't until I moved down here to Eugene that I realized just how culturally diverse my home was. It's kind of a shocker. I'd never really thought about it till now. But I guess if I had to think of a specific occasion in my past where my cultural background has made a difference, was probably when I moved down here to Eugene. Because when I first met a bunch of people that went to this school, I found out there were so many people who have lived in this little bubble of Eugene their entire life and never seen outside the box and seen different cultures from different ethnical groups like I have. Even though I've lived in the same town my entire life, I've seen more of ethnical cultures than they have. Back to my background, my best friend is Mormon, my other best friend is Jewish, and I am Christian. Yet, we all get along really well. We all celebrate Hanukkah together. We all celebrate Christmas together. There's a lot of interweaving traditions that we all do, and we invite each other to different traditions and the holidays and festivals and get-togethers that we pretty much become immersed in different kinds of cultures and traditions and stuff. So not only do I have my traditions from my family, but I've learned about traditions from my Jewish friend's family, my Mormon friend's family, my aunt who is half Native American, and the tribe that she's from. I've gotten to see a lot of their culture and how they live and how they work. I've gotten to see all the different festivals with our Latino population. My grandparents' best friends, who are our neighbors, come from it's a little town right outside the Texas border in Mexico, and they moved into the Texas area when World War II broke out, I want to say. I'm not 100% positive off the top of my head, but through them I've learned so much about their culture and the culture when they came to the United States and the culture now and how they differ. And it's been this huge growing experience. So even I think coming down here was the one time that I can think of that specifically that makes a difference with my culture. But when asked, does it make a difference, does my cultural background make a difference in my everyday life, I'd say yes, but I don't see it. Like, it makes a difference in how I interact with people, but because it becomes so natural and a constant, I don't see it, but I assume other people do. But part of my culture was growing up, talking to people, becoming super sociable and communicate. My communication skills are pretty good, considering, well, aside from talking to a camera like I am now, when I'm talking to people it's a lot easier. I like talking to people. I like making new friends. My family always supported my brother and I in making new friends, becoming super involved in the community and learning about how to deal with other people, how to deal with situations, how to treat other people, and how we should respect others. The second part of our discussion, we were supposed to talk about what are some of the implications for the U.S. workforce with the possibility of European American males becoming a minority in the near future. What I found as an implication is that in the book it talked about how people are immigrating from other countries to come here and learn or go to school and get a great education and get a job, but the people who are born here, the native people, kind of take our education for granted, so then we don't strive to excel in school, we don't strive to exceed expectations, we just kind of coast through life, and as a result, many of the jobs that European American males were getting back in the not so far away past are now going to the immigrants who have gone to school and pushed through school and exceeded the limit, and to the European American women who until 50 years ago or so weren't allowed in certain jobs and fields of work. These are all changing, and due to that, like, business is changing. They're looking for specific skills, and they're only finding them in the new immigrants that are coming, in other minorities, not to mention the fact that there are quotas in many of these businesses that have to be covered. This is a weird thought for me, but that's how it is. Our third question was, can you think of communication contexts that are non-interpersonal? Yes, non-interpersonal communication is any communication that is not a physical one or two or more conversation with a physical person face to face. So this here, me talking to a camera and you listening to me on the internet, is an example of a non-interpersonal communication, just like any form of media aside from Skype. Any form of TV, any form of magazine, again, this video I'm making now, these are all examples of non-interpersonal communication. The reason why this class, this intercultural class, emphasizes interpersonal communication is because any communication between two or more people that is face-to-face is a form of interpersonal communication. It doesn't matter what culture or what ethnicity or whatever two people are, as long as there's two or more people talking to each other face-to-face, or even just being in each other's presence, that is an interpersonal communication. Alright, we were also supposed to talk about 2 or 3 of the cultural connections from the reading, or Doyle's supplement, chapter supplement. For this discussion, I decided to talk about 2 of the culture connection pieces and Doyle's separate but together speech on the the chapter supplement. The first cultural connection piece I chose was the Cultural Connection box on page 4, where it talked about if the world was a village of 1,000 people, and its breakdowns of how many Asians there would be, how many Africans there would be, how many Europeans, Latin Americans, North Americans, Middle Easterns, and Australians. I thought this breakdown was really interesting, considering, yeah, I'm from the United States. I've never been outside